If you have ever felt like there is a wall between you and the character, you get them when you read the script, you get them on paper, you understand them, you know who they are, you get their motives, you get their emotional world, you can see them in your head, but yet you can't express them fully in the scene. This is the episode for you. I am so excited to be breaking down why you are struggling to express the character, and it really isn't what you probably think it is. I've taken my learnings from the last 15 years of coaching actors of all levels of experience, and there's 3 categories I slot them into.
You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, unknown actors with me, Louise, the artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And for the last 13 years, I've been taking unknown actors with blank CVs all the way to Netflix dramas, Amazon Prime films, TV soaps, and stage plays around the world. And every week I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid working unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready to dive into the episode?
Every single actor will fit into one of these 3 categories, and every single one of them will experience the struggles with expressing the character no matter what category you put yourself into. The first category is brand new actor, got 0 experience of acting or very, very minimal. Usually those types of actors are the ones who've done a school play or 2 or a little bit of Amdram. The second category is what I would class as the early career actor. So that's an actor who's been having auditions for television productions, stage productions, not as regularly as they would like, but they're still getting those auditions coming in, and they're really trying their best to break through into the industry. And then there's those actors who have had traditional drama school experience, they've got credits on the CV, they're out of date, they've had a break from the industry for whatever reason, life, other priorities, and now they're coming back into the industry and they are super motivated and ready to make this work once and for all. These are the 3 types of actors that I've coached over the last 15 years, and every single one of them has experienced this struggle with characters. And it's why I wanted to talk to you about it today, because you are probably telling yourself a story that you're not good enough, that you haven't got the skills, that there's something wrong with you, or that you just don't understand characters. You're telling yourself a negative story, but really it's not that. So I'm going to start with something that Stanislavski said to his students. Stanislavski was the person who began looking at acting in fine detail in the 1800s and early 1900s, and he wanted to know how actors could become more truthful and authentic with their performances. And then Lee Strasberg came along and he started to look at Stanislavski's method and started to develop upon what Stanislavski had laid down as the foundations. And what I do as an acting coach is I take what Stanislavski, Lee Strasberg, Uta Hagen and Stella Adler and also Sanford Meisner all laid out. I look at that, I've combined it into my own method, and of course I've then developed upon what they've laid out as well. But essentially all of those acting coaches, and myself included, spot something in actors that really does destroy their performances and stops them really inhibiting the character and expressing them in their true essence. And so to go back to what Stanislavski said, and Stella Adler and Uta Hagen and Lee Strasberg and myself all have our own takes on this and our own wording of this, but essentially what he said was, do not bring your mud into the rehearsal room. And what he meant by that was your personal issues. And if you do bring your personal issues into the rehearsal room, into the acting studio, into your performances, what you're doing is you're bringing your own self-consciousness to the character, and that puts a wall between you and the character, and it blocks your expression, your full expression of them, and it leads you to have inhibitions. This is something that I assess my students on weekly in the 10-week method acting modules. I assess their inhibitions and I let them know where they're at with them each week, because it's really important, whatever level you're at, that you are aware of your own inhibitions and you're releasing them so that you can embody the character fully. So inhibitions are rooted in self-consciousness, the fear of judgment, and a lack of worth in playing the role. So I want to give you an example. About 2 years ago, I was coaching an actor in the 10-week method acting modules, and we did an exercise called Private Moment. Private Moment is a method acting exercise that really does put your inhibitions in the spotlight. It's quite a challenging exercise, but once you get the hang of it, it frees you up to express in the moment and with sincerity. And so what the challenge of the actor is to find something that the character would do in a private moment of their life that they would be embarrassed for other people to catch them doing. And it might be something like singing at the top of their lungs, thinking they're Whitney Houston or Taylor Swift or whoever as they're singing. It might be dancing with full abandon. It could be anything, really, anything that they do, the character that they get full joy from, that they don't want someone else catching them doing because it's not something they would ever do in public, hence why it's called Private Moment. And it's such a good exercise to do. So I was getting my actors to do this, and one actor in particular was really, really struggling with this. I could see that this actor was very, very tense physically, tense mentally, tense emotionally, tense energetically. If you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, you know I bang on and on about mental tension. Well, tension for the actor is literally any thought, energy, emotion, anything that blocks you from fully expressing the character. This is why Private Moment exercise is so good to do, because it really highlights this to you. And so this actor was experiencing tension in all forms. And so I stopped the exercise and I asked the actor to do it again. I gave some feedback, I gave some coaching, and again, they struggled. They really, really struggled with it. And I could see that this actor was bringing mud into the room, to take us back to that Stanislavski quote. What I observed in this actor is that actually they were very, very, very creative. So I would read their character backstories and be in awe of how much detail there was and how much clarity they had over the character and this life that they created in their imagination. They were phenomenal. I really looked forward to reading this actor's character backstories because they were just incredible, so bloody incredible. And yet this wasn't translating in the classroom. And so I said to this actor, after they'd done the Private Moment exercise a couple of times, I stopped it because I could see it was quite a painful experience for them because they were struggling with it. And I could see it was making them self-conscious. And so I said to this actor, you can do this. You are so creative. Your backstories are incredible. The amount of detail you go into is something I have not seen in another actor that I have coached. And yet you're struggling with this because somewhere in your past, you have created a story about yourself that your voice is not important. And so you shrink yourself. You shrink yourself when it comes to exercises like this because there's a self-consciousness about you expressing yourself, which is now bleeding through into the character. And I said to this person, I want you to know that your voice does matter and you are important. And also the character's voice is important. And what they have to say is so important that everybody needs to hear it. And so I asked this actor to just go away and consider what I'd said. That moment for that actor was quite illuminating because it might have been maybe like 10 months down the line when I was coaching them. We had a tutorial because we do tutorials in the 10-week method acting modules, which is where you get one-on-one time with me and discuss your progress in a little bit more detail. And we set some goals to help you keep overcoming the blind spots and the weaknesses in your performances, which everybody's got, by the way. And we obviously discuss your strengths as well and what's really working and what to do more of. And so 10 months down the line, I think it was 10 months, I brought this up to this actor because I said, I can see that you're really improving with this, but it is still hanging over you a little bit. And I said, did you consider what I said? And this actor said, yes, they had. And actually that moment of me giving that feedback had been the catalyst for them really examining their own life and becoming self-aware. And this actor shared with me that something had happened in their life where they'd been embarrassed and they'd been silenced when they did try to use their voice, and then it all made sense. and that actor had never fully allowed themselves to express since that moment in their personal life. I want to take us back to that quote, that Stanislavski quote of "don't bring mud into the room," to say that if you want to be an actor, and you want to be an actor to the best of your ability, which you are more than capable of doing, because all you need to do is learn method acting exercises. You have learned so much in your life. You've learned how to talk, you've learned how to walk, you've learned how to ride a bike. Some of you have learned how to drive a car. There's just so many things that you have learned in your life, including the day job that you do now, that you are more than capable of learning the method acting exercises that will allow you to embody the character. But the other thing you have to learn is, what are your own personal blocks? What is the mud that you could potentially bring into the classroom, into the rehearsal room, into the audition, into the production? And usually the mud are the things where we've had experiences where they've been quite traumatic, or we felt shame. And then what happens is perfectionism shows up in your scene work. Until you get honest about what these things are, in a compassionate way, we never criticize ourselves, we get compassionate. But until you get honest about what they are and work through them, you are always going to have blocks, and you are never going to truly embody that character. And so I encourage you to do the personal work away from learning about acting, because that is so important. Once you develop that self-awareness and you can say, oh yeah, I always had issues with showing anger because when I was little, I was scolded for it. And anger was seen as a bad emotion and getting out of control, and there's something wrong with you if you feel it. Like, as soon as you start identifying what these things are, you then free yourself from the shackles that hold you back and tie you down and stop you being able to connect to anger, or stop you being able to have a voice and express the character's voice, or keep you playing the character safe and small. So I hope this episode has been really insightful for you. I hope it's got you thinking about what it is that you struggle with characters, and it'll be different for every single one of you who's listening. And I hope it's given you the inspiration to go, actually, I'm going to start looking at this, because as I've said, you're more than capable of learning the method acting techniques you need. Sometimes we just need to look at ourselves as well and go, what's actually happened to me that's made me struggle with this particular aspect of a character, and free ourselves from it. Because then what will happen is you will express the character with full abandon, and you will feel so much joy. You won't be beating yourself up anymore. You won't be giving yourself a hard time thinking you could do better, because you will know that you allowed yourself to fully live through that character moment to moment. Now, if you do want some feedback on your acting and where you're at currently, go and take the free quiz, What Type of Actor Are You? Because as I said at the beginning of the episode, it will let you know whether you're a head actor or a heart actor, and what this means for your performances. And you'll get feedback at the end of the quiz on what it is that you need to do to be taking your performances to the next level. So that link again is bit.ly/acting type, or you can go to the episode description where I've left it for you. I'll see you again soon. I've absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you found this episode inspiring. If you have, please do rate the podcast and hit follow so you never miss an episode, and I can help more actors like you. And come and join one of the most supportive, uplifting acting communities on socials, the Unstoppable Actors Facebook group, where you'll get your weekly injection of inspiration, networking, and receive your free Method Actors handbook so you can become an unstoppable actor.